Okay, we'd like to call to order the Town of Niskayuna Planning Board and Zoning Commission, August 25, 2025 meeting. Ms. Bergami, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Laflamme,
Here.
Ms. Strain,
Here.
Ms. Belofsky,
Here.
Ms. Gold,
Present.
Mr. Millspaugh,
Here.
Mr. Bill Calhoun,
Here.
Chairman Darpino.
Here. Next up is the approval of the August 11th, 2025 meeting minutes. May I get a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Okay, moved by Ms. Strang, seconded by Ms. Belofsky. Any corrections or amendments? I had none. Okay. All in favor of the August 11th, 2025 meeting minutes as submitted, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, August 11th, 2025 meeting minutes are approved. Moving on through the agenda, public hearings are up. We do not have any public hearings scheduled for tonight, so we'll move directly to privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor is open to any resident of Niskayuna wishing to speak on any zoning or planning matter. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. Okay, doesn't look like anyone present is here for privilege of the floor. Clark or Trish, did we get any correspondence or is anyone online wishing to speak?
No.
Okay, so last chance for privilege of the floor. Seeing as there is none, we will close that. There is no unfinished business, so we will move on to new business. First up is a recommendation to the ZBA for One Research Circle, GE Vernova. This is a recommendation to the ZBA for new signage. The project lead is Ms. Belofsky, and I will be recusing from this project and turning it over to her.
Good evening.
Hello.
How are you, Tom? If you can just sort of review, I'll just do a quick review and we'll talk about where we are. This was additional signage for the GE facility. It requires a variance from the zoning board. I believe at our last meeting, we asked you to show us, which you did in the packet, Mark, if you can pull that up, what the 50 square foot compliant sign would look like as a comparison to what was being requested. All of the signage being asked for is additive, so that's on the record. Thus the need for the variance from ZBA. This is what's being proposed. Can you show the building sign, Clark, where it shows this is what's being requested?
Correct. Yep.
And then, Tom, I know you gave us a rendering of what it would look like if it was within the 50 square feet. I think it's further down, Clark.
I'm looking for the sign. I know
It's
they
further
did
down.
provide it.
Yep, I think there's like a double set of these, and then it's further down.
That's still the, yeah.
It's definitely in the packet.
And as I remember it, it's a separate entry, right? It's not
Is it
one
not
of the,
part of the original?
right.
Mhm. Page 32, looks like. Yeah,
There
there
we
it
go.
is.
There it is. That represents 50 square feet on the building.
Right, so it's a total of 4 signs. This is the one that would require a larger square footage. Board members, any questions or concerns about this? I mean, it's very evident to me that given the size of the building and the distance from which the sign's being viewed, that the larger requested size makes sense for the building. Everyone agrees? Okay. So without any questions for Mr. Wheeler regarding the signage, this is pretty straightforward. Very similar to what we recently did with GE Vernova. It's within its own campus. So may I am I doing a motion? Or are we just moving to vote on the three pieces of the recommendation?
Recap.
Right, okay. So we are, before we move in the recommendation, as proposed, the one facade sign that reads GE Aerospace plus the GE logo exists on the main eastern building on the property. Therefore, variances are required for one new facade sign that reads GE Vernova plus the GE logo and one, is that correct, Vernova? And one new facade sign, correct, GE Vernova plus the GE logo measuring more than 50 square feet, and one new facade sign, actual wording on the sign to be determined at a later date. And as proposed, there would be one freestanding monument ground sign that reads GE Aerospace plus the GE logo exists at the entrance of the Research Circle on River Road. Therefore, variances are required for one new freestanding monument sign that reads GE Vernova plus the GE logo, one new freestanding monument ground sign that reads the Energy to Change the World, which is in your packet. Those are required. So that's the recap of the request. Now we'll move to the three pieces. The effect on the comprehensive plan. I would move that there is no effect on the comprehensive plan.
Second, did you need a second?
Yeah, thank you. And suitability of use, we have to vote, sorry. Sorry. So can we call are we doing a yay nay or do we? Yeah, we'll do that by yay nay. So all in favor all in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Hearing none. The suitability of use, again, it feels, again, this is similar to what we've done in the past and feels like it's the right thing to do given the circumstances of the campus. Can I get a motion
So moved.
in a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so then we'll vote to recommend to the ZBA that the variances be granted. And do we need a motion? Yes, thanks. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Leslie. Is that a roll or is it aye as well?
Nope.
That's good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. It passes and you're all set.
All right, thank you.
Thanks very much, Tom, for your time.
Okay, the planning department will collect all that information and write that up so that the recommendation will go to the ZBA and we'll put them on for the next agenda. Okay, next up is Resolution 2025-23, resolution for site plan approval of a new sign at the Heritage Group at 2331 Troy Schenectady Road. Mr. Khan is unable to be here tonight, so Ms. Bolovsky said that she will fill in and chair this, as I also have to recuse on this one as well due to AJ Signs being involved.
Hi, thanks
hi,
for
how
being
are you?
back.
You got it.
Can you just walk us through, I think, the changes that were requested last time? I saw that the photos are
Sure.
in. Yep, state your name for the
Sure.
record.
Tyler Turpinning, president of the Heritage Group, 371 Bly Road, Schenectady.
Tyler. And
Sure.
can you talk us through the changes that you had made to the building?
Sure. So the lower rear side, I turned them forward facing, and the right one next to the neighbor, I turned it inward towards the building. So there's no light going behind the building. I turned them down to 20 watts. They were at 5,000 lumens. They went to 4,000. So they weren't too yellow. The inside timer, it goes off exactly at 10, like 9:55. So the entire property is dark before 10 o'clock. Let's see here. Yeah, turn the bottom lights in and face them downward so they're not shooting like up on the side of the property. So those are the four things that I did.
Any discussion or questions or observations from the board? It looked like it made the right difference. I think those adjustments made sense and certainly changed the appearance.
Oh, you know, I did too. I changed the candelabra light bulbs and the sign or the lights on the building to
Yes.
25 watt, like really warm, like low incandescent bulbs. So they're not bright. That's
Excellent.
also what I did too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Clark or Trish, we've not had any further correspondence from anyone. I know this issue was raised by residents, so I just wanted.
Yeah, no, we have not.
Okay, terrific. So, anything else that you want to add? Thanks for making those accommodations.
Of course.
And can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Oh, I gotta read it. Sorry,
sorry.
guys. This is my first time doing this. Sorry. I'll read the resolution. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Planning Board and Zoning Commission does hereby classify this application as a type 2 action under seeker regulations, and no further action is required. Further resolved that the Planning Board and Zoning Commission finds the above referenced site plan meets the requirements of the zoning code, and therefore hereby approves this signage site plan with the following conditions. Number 1, monument sign lighting and all external building and landscape lighting are to be on a common timer so that they turn off at 10 p.m. every night. Number 2, every effort to reduce light trespass from the property shall be continuously undertaken, including lowering the wattage, adjusting the angle of the fixtures, cut off light shielding, and less intense light bulbs. Upon roll call, so can I get a motion to adopt the resolution, please?
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. So Ms. Strang and
Laflamme.
Mr. Laflamme, sorry. Can you call the roll, Trish?
Mr. Laflamme,
Aye.
Ms. Strain,
Aye.
Ms. Bilofsky,
Aye.
Ms. Gomes,
Aye.
Ms. Gold,
Aye.
and Mr. Millspack.
Aye.
Terrific. You are all set, and planning will be in contact for anything else that needs to
Straight till Tom
happen.
gets the, can go get the permit to start making the sign. Great. Thank you
Yeah.
guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank
Thank
you
you
for your
very much.
accommodation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bilowski. All right, next up is Resolution 2025-24, resolution for approval of subdivision amendment regarding drainage at Seneca Road subdivision, 7 Seneca Road. Mr. Khan is the project lead. I will be filling in for him tonight. Before we move on to the resolution, we'll give a quick recap here of where we are in the project. So since the last meeting, we did not receive the formal TDE letter response after the walkthrough. I did reach out to Mr. Lucy to let him know that on Friday last week. So I think at this point, what we'll do is I'm going to make the recommendation to table the resolution until we do get the full TDE response letter. Let the planning department and engineering take a look at that letter, see if they concur. I believe from our walkthrough, we haven't seen anything different on design or changes, and those people that were able to go to one of the 2 walkthroughs, I think could, see what the site configuration is and what the proposed final solution was. So we got a couple representatives here, so go ahead.
Mike Dussault from Engineering Ventures. Actually, Doug had issued his report or his letter this morning, so we haven't had a chance to respond, but obviously you guys haven't seen it, so.
Okay.
We'll evaluate what he's asked us to evaluate and then issue a response.
Okay.
And we'll do it as soon as we can.
Clark, what's the deadline for the September 8th meeting?
It's actually Wednesday.
Wednesday this week, correct?
Wednesday,
Right, yeah.
Wednesday.
So if you could get that over to the planning department relatively quickly. Have we received that letter yet?
Yeah, we just got it this
Okay.
afternoon. So we did get it, and the deadline is Wednesday
Okay.
for the next meeting.
Oh, no, yeah, we should be able to respond by then.
Okay,
So it's part of the package.
all right. So I guess I'll open up to board discussion. Are we okay with tabling this resolution for a couple weeks until we get the formal TD response?
I think that's the most appropriate action. I really do value the input from our TDEs.
All right. Okay, if there's no further questions, thank you. Well, hopefully see you on the 8th. Okay, that closes out new business. We have discussion items. First up is 3406 Albany Street. Site plan application requiring a special use permit for the operation of a religious education facility at a single family home. I am the project lead, and welcome Mr. Hirschberg back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess it was an unusual burden on Mayo Kang. He didn't show up to the site, but he's my client.
Mhm.
He hasn't given me up yet, so I'm still his attorney, his engineer, not an attorney. And we provided some additional information. I don't know whether or not, I don't think it really made it to the packet. We did provide you with a photo of a grass tex that was, I don't know, the packet, but I got more copies of it. What they are concrete grids where 70% of the area of the block is open, and it's got a shape on it that allows grass to grow through it. It's considered a porous type of pavement by DEC, so all the water can pass through it into the level that the ground will allow infiltration or infiltrate it to the ground. And we're proposing to either construct or bank 3 parking spots in addition to the 2 out front. The number of people that come here regularly varies from someplace between 3 and 15. A great number of them don't even have cars, so that they carpool people in, or some people walk. So we don't think that either the 3 additional spots to be needed or the 2 additional spots. That garage has actually been expanded. We were out there on a field trip. Garage has been expanded. It actually shows it's 24 by 49 foot or 22 by 49 foot meditation room. A very nice 1-story structure, and that's what they intend to use. The goal here is to give enough information so at the next meeting we can get a recommendation to the town board for special use, either for or against. I guess recommendation go either way, or determine whether or not we need any variances.
Sure. Okay. So to recap where we are since the last meeting, there were 2 site visits that were scheduled. And just to recap on the property. So like Mr. Hirschberg said, the actual structure that's there is larger than that red square that is designated as the forms area. It probably is just a couple feet off of that other line, which is where that little retaining wall ends. So it's a pretty decent sized structure. There's a concrete driveway that leads down all the way down to the edge of the building.
Yep.
Right there. Flanking that on the side of the building and where the edge of the lawn is, there's actually 2 pole lights that are on daytime timers and motion sensors that would be
Right there.
right about there. Perfect. And then the other interesting thing through the site walk is that there's a sliver of the property off of Gassner, which there's a concrete pad that's adjacent to that little shed, where that actually is up a little bit higher, right about there is that concrete pad, where it's split between the 2 property lines. So one is technically off-street parking, which could be considered a parking space. And then the other one is to the other house on Albany Street, which is the left of the property. So when we were at the site visit, there were 3 cars that were parked inside on the lawn on what would be the designated like parking areas there.
Yeah, right in
And-
here.
Correct. And then there were 2 spaces out on Albany Street, which are paved, which are easy up towards Albany Street, towards Guns and Ammo, which is the gray area
Up here.
right there. And then in theory, there could be a 3rd parking space where the grass area is on the northeast corner of the property, right where that arrow is, that says 2 available parking spaces. Also in the interim, Friday before last, I did reach out to Mr. Serafini, who owns Upstate Guns and Ammo. We had a very nice conversation about the neighbors and his agreement with the parking. So he had nothing but good things to say. He said that the parking that they do utilize does not conflict with any of his business hours. He's never had an issue with any functions there at the thing impeding on his parking or his business.
I don't intend to represent that. I don't know anything about the calendar they work on.
Mhm.
But I'm familiar with the lunar calendar. The Hebrew calendar is the lunar calendar. So some years we actually have 13 months to make up. Their lunar calendar is somewhat familiar, so that what occurs March one year may occur April the next year. It jumps around a little bit. So the dates that Maya presented are approximate dates for these things, and the great majority of them are for between 3 and 15 people attend. And like I said, a number of people don't even have a car, so they do carpool people in there. So
Mhm.
we don't think that parking is really a problem. There's actually only one large event that I'm aware of on this list for a year, which is they might have 30 people attending. That is, and at that time, if they need the parking across the road, they'll use it. You know, even at that, so many of the people who use the facility here don't have cars, so that a lot of them will be transported. Some will be able to walk. But again, the demand for parking here is very minimal.
Okay.
We know the code requires it, but again, the actual demand for parking here is very minimal.
So here's where I'm at with the project. I think that we've had our site walkthrough. A lot of members were able to attend. And I know that you just recently completed some updated drawings and some information that
Yeah.
we can get into that packet. Maybe I think it has to add some of the lighting fixtures that are on there that are there. But
Yeah,
again, I think we know how the site is going to be intended to be used. So as a board, we've got quite a bit of information that the planning department has dug up on, looking to see if there's precedent, what religious facilities require by code for, a couple acres sites, where we should, I think, use tonight as a discussion to see where we are and how we feel that this site plan is going to work with this applicant. And in fairness to them, we can kind of come to some sort of agreement or a discussion that we would make a recommendation to start, to get the final application in at the next meeting to call for a public hearing if we feel this is something that we want to recommend down the line. So those of you that did have the opportunity to attend the site walkthrough, you want to share any of your observations or anything?
I would. I'm really, really glad that I did the site walk because the drawing to me didn't depict what I saw. To no offense to anybody who drew it, excuse me, but the building there is beautiful, the new building, but I think parking is more than adequate. I really had reservations before about it, but after seeing all of the property that they have for that, and then again, the folks across the street willing to share theirs, I myself have no reservation about it at all.
I had a question that you talked about the materials that might be used to extend the parking being impervious.
Yeah.
Would the final, do you anticipate the final application having all of those spaces built with that material or reserving spaces for maybe a demand that's greater than what you anticipate?
The major concern is the expense. I'm working with this congregation who has very little money to spend. And that's why I went to something like the Grass Tex paving, because that can be done with hard labor. You don't need a paving machine, you don't need asphalt, you don't need a lot of expensive material. You do need gravel put underneath it, some back labor to excavate it, and you can put it down yourself. As a matter of fact, I'd offer to go over there and work with them to see whether they put it down themselves correctly. I won't lift a single block though.
Okay.
But that all being said, if they have to build any parking at all, I would recommend we do it out of the Grass Tex, which is, I've used it probably, I think it was first admitted in like 1972 when I put it on 4 or 5 sites before 1975. So again, I've used it quite a bit in the past.
Just to clarify, so the 3 spots in the front,
Yeah.
the white fence,
Yeah.
that will come down.
No, I think the white fence would stay. People would access it by the driveway.
So they'll just come through the driveway passage that's there.
Yeah, I think that fence looks very nice. There are 3 new trees that are planted in front of it.
Yep.
We don't want to disturb those. I think I don't want to sound like I'm beating the drum here, but that building looks very nice. It's very well maintained. The landscaping looks very good.
Yeah.
Again, it certainly appears to be a great neighbor. Again, I don't think you'll have any complaints by any of the neighbors in the area if you have a public hearing.
So my question, behind, on the interior of the fence
Yeah.
in the yard, how many spaces will be built?
I thought we proposed 3. That'll give us a total of 5. And obviously, one could park beyond where the 3 cars go forward in the driveway. So that'd give us 6 total spots. Again, and like I said, if that causes to get a variance, I think it's worthwhile to get a variance rather than build any more parking.
And just to fill you in on some of the things that the planning office is doing, we took the information on meeting dates and tried to put them on a little bit of a calendar here. So our interpretation, and this is subject to modification if we've misinterpreted something, but what we saw were, again, the lunar calendar. So there were some events that happened basically in a month, not tied down to an exact day. That's what's highlighted in red. And then I believe the weekly meetings on Sundays were described as occurring in July and August. So that's why we have a blue mark on the Sundays of July and August, which the information that was provided said those occur between noon and 2. So the Upstate Guns and Ammo is closed on Sundays, so that parking would be available on the weekly basis if there's an agreement. The red, and I think Laura was kind of thinking of this in terms of the weekly meetings mostly as a place of worship. And then the other events are a little bit more like a church fair or, not a weekly occurrence. So that's kind of that's one area that's being looked at. The other area is still trying to exactly determine what the parking space requirement would be per the code. There's 2 parts in the code for the R2 zoning district. And one of them is 1 parking space for every 200 square feet of floor area of a place of worship. But then I think it goes on to say, but not less than 1 space for every 4 seats. So there's no seats in that. It's kind of open to the loading of the building, which becomes another question. So if you go to the building inspectors and they go to an occupancy rating for a building of 980 square feet, the occupancy rating can be quite high. So we're trying to interpret that into what is the parking requirement per code, just so that we know what type of a variance you may need. It might not play a factor, but to us dealing with the code, we have to know what variance would be needed.
And Clark, just to clarify, the parking we can waive though as the board, we don't need a variance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I
Is-
think
is-
that depends on, I think the classification that we were leaning towards using the square footage, right? If that's the case, because the numbers will vary differently. It could be anywhere.
Yeah,
between-
I'm not sure about that. Did it have it in the code, Andrew?
Well, just in the parking
waiver?
section, it's got the section that says the planning board may waive,
Yeah.
like similar to like some of the sign
Yeah.
stuff.
If that's the case, then I think the planning board could waive the park.
Right, we do have the ability to waive some parking
Yeah.
spaces, but I think what we have to do is we still don't have an actual place where this fits in. So we're reviewing that. And in addition to that, the other thing that the planning department is looking at is that, this R2 lot has a lot of structures on it right now, and it's going to have potentially more parking. So the imperviousness of that site will have to be reviewed along with the floor area ratio, because that building is much larger than what's on that. Now, they did get a building permit for that. So
Right.
that is, the planning department has all that information, but I think we got to bring that all in together to know exactly what variances this thing is going to get structured around.
Right.
The term seats here
Mhm.
will be difficult to define because there's really only 1 chair in that meditation room.
Right.
The leader. That's the only chair in it. Everybody else sits on the floor.
But the number is, as I already mentioned in the
Mhm.
report, the number is not increased. Although it never get crowded. I show whoever visited the places, we sit on the floor, but it's never crowded. 5 to 10, as I already reported in the report. And also the lunar calendar, I already mentioned, only on Sunday. Although the calendar said some, because of our community, we always tend to do the event, every event, either annual event or Sunday event. We tend to use Sunday because committee asks which day exactly. So I mentioned the day, but it's not the day what we celebrate. We made this event happen only on Sunday, never in other day.
Come up to the microphone so we can get the recording. Mhm.
We say that. Whoever coming, we say that they saw whatever they. Please.
And I think what we appreciate that information, and that's part of the decision-making process for the board. I think just what we're trying to do in the planning office is make sure we're appropriately applying the code. So we can say, you need a waiver for this many parking spaces, because we need to sync up to the code. That's kind of our job. But then the board still can make whatever decision they choose to make.
Visit our.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I guess to wrap up here, are we good collectively as a board moving forward with this to get that updated site plan, let the planning department gather some more information since our walkthrough and a few of the things that I talked about the code, floor area ratio, all that type of stuff, so we can actually hone in on this and structure that letter so they understand what these recommendations are gonna be in front of.
I am, and I also found the letter from the Department of Justice to be helpful. I think it basically urges us to find a way to make this viable.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that the applicant has sunk quite a bit of money into, a nice building. It does fit on the site. It's an interesting way that the building was positioned, because I think with the trapezoidal site that was there, from the road or from Gassner, it doesn't jump out. And it's interesting, the house behind it looks like it's a brand new building.
Yes.
Yeah. So someone has since developed in that area too. It's a 2-story home. Besides the main structure on Albany Street, which is the original house, everything else is one story. So if we get that site plan just updated, that would be helpful.
I'll also note,
Go ahead.
a lot of congregations in this area have agreements with other facilities for those major occasions where they might run out of parking, and often do. My former congregation had an arrangement with a nearby church. As long as the holidays didn't conflict,
Mhm.
we could use their parking, and for Christmas, they could use ours. So that they have an agreement with a commercial property instead of another religious one, as long as they can make the calendar work, I don't see a problem with that.
All right. Thank you for your time. Okay, next up under discussion items is 1 Glen Eddy Drive, a site plan application for a new approximately 31.5 foot by 40.5 foot by 21.5 foot high pavilion requiring an area variance at the Glen Eddy. This is a new project, and I have a representative here.
Good evening. My name is Mike Tierney. I'm a project manager for St. Peter's Health Partners. St. Peter's is the parent company for Glen Eddy, which is, as y'all know, a retirement community here in Niskuna, opened in 2001. I'll just give a real brief description of the project, some of the highlights of the project. We currently use, or Glen Eddy currently uses, a seasonal tent in the independent living facility. during the nicer months. Goes in spring, summer, comes out in fall. It's something that the facilities department puts up and takes down every year. What we want to do, as the chairman said, we want to construct a permanent structure. We would use the existing concrete slab. So we're not expanding any slabs. We just reuse that existing slab. This pavilion structure would seat about 51 people, which is what we have right now. That seems to work pretty well with our group. A couple other highlights. We'd have helical piers, steel structures that screw deep into the ground. That's what we would use for the 6 galvanized steel columns. We'd utilize a French drain system that we have currently, and that would just continue to tie into the storm water and the yard drain system. Height again is 21 feet, 6 inches. Metal roof that would match the existing roofs of Glen Eddy. Wood trusses, which would be covered with plywood and some PVC ceiling. We'd have some exterior grade LED recessed lights in the unit. 2 surface mounted ceiling fans, and we would just utilize the existing exterior lights for folks that come and go into the tent, into the structure. Questions?
Okay, thank you for the recap. Yeah, so Clark, if you could pull up
Yeah, I
the,
can't get it to display. I'm having trouble getting it to display for some reason, so.
I guess just quick, in the submittal, it said area of disturbance and it said 2,600 square feet, but there's an existing slab, so there is no disturbance.
There's really no disturbance. The architect put that just for equipment and things of that
Yeah.
nature. Yes.
okay, so as Z helps us here get our visual aids up. Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, which is leading to the other thing which you had mentioned is that you will run electrical out there. So does the tent currently have any type of temporary lighting? Is there lighting on the back of the building, reutilizing, repurposing? Could you just explain that a little bit more?
Yes, currently we have string lights that run through the exterior tent or the seasonal tent. So now we would run electric there for the lights. Yes.
Okay. Not visible from the road, correct? All
Correct.
Internally.
All internally.
behind
It's all
back of the building.
masked by all the structures. Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other thoughts or observations from the board?
Maybe it couldn't take that.
So what is the variance that's needed?
Sometimes it just runs, it's really slow loading.
I think it just can't handle that site.
Let's see here. It's the. I don't think there's any variance.
I
being-
thought I was in for site plan review.
Okay, I
yeah,
thought
it's-
there was a
yeah.
mention.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just site plan.
No, yeah, this is just site plan review. I don't think there's any variance for anything.
No.
They haven't surpassed any accessory structures or anything. like
No,
that, right?
there's no limit on accessory structure.
Right. There was a recap in the agenda statement, from 2018 up until 2025. This one being the 4th proposed project on there. I think that's it. The shed is up, right? No, the shed's up. And how about the addition?
The addition is completed. We did
Okay.
an addition at the assisted living, expanded the dining room out and some of the offices. Also expanded our drive under canopy, which has been much needed, and residents are really pleased about that. So I was actually the project manager on that job too, and it was nice to see that. So.
Okay, good. Yeah, seems like it's a good evolution of what's going on here. A more permanent structure may be a little bit helpful, get you a few more weeks out of the year, if possible, even when, the inclement weather hits and tents aren't always the perfect temporary structure.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. If we're comfortable with this, I think we could call for a resolution at the next meeting.
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't look like it really needs a project lead or a site visit. I think the rendering is pretty good, straightforward, electrical. It is not going to discharge or change any of the utilities. We're not significantly changing the site grade. If you already have a pad that's out there, then that should be fine.
clearly a benefit to the residents.
Okay, great. So we'll have the planning department pull that together and have a resolution for the next meeting.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, last up on discussion items is the zoning code amendment to allow child daycare centers in an independent building and a special permit, a special principal use for the R1 low density residential zoning district. Ms. Gomes is the project lead. And over to her and Mr. Henry.
Basically, we just added some notes from the last meeting. That should read the 8/11 planning board meeting. So those are just a few notes, and Laura hasn't had the chance to update any more of the code. So there's nothing else really new on our.
I did have one question. I meant to check. I don't remember seeing it. Do the sideline requirements change?
The side setbacks
Yeah, setbacks.
for a child.
Yeah,
I don't believe so. You mean for a child care facility?
yeah, we're still talking 2 acres, right? In R1.
I don't have all that code in front of me.
Oh, I've got it printed, but I can't read it fast enough. So I want to be sure that the setbacks are provided enough protection for residences nearby.
Sure, we can look at that. We'll include that in the minutes.
Okay, like Mr. Henry said, him and Ms. Robinson are working on that to update it. So actually, when she returns, we could probably get a recap at the September 8th meeting. Okay, any other discussion on zoning code? Okay, that finishes up discussion items. Moving on to reports.
Sure, we have a couple of reports from the planning office. 4240 Consall Road, the Mizan Kitchen received their use variance from the ZBA on the August 20th ZBA meeting. So at the 9/8 meeting, the planning board could, if the site plan was in order, you could call for a resolution for site plan approval. You could either call for that, or at the 9/29, you could call for the resolution at the 9/29 meeting.
There been any changes to the site plan since the original?
I don't think recently there's been many changes. So yeah, we were a little surprised we didn't have her on this meeting to follow up on the ZBA, but she'll definitely be on, that project will be on the agenda for the September 8th meeting.
Okay, we'll let her get her application back together,
Yeah.
present what her final
Right.
project is, and if she's at the September 8th meeting, I think, since everything's moving forward, call for resolution then for the following meeting in September.
The other project that will be back is Niskayuna Harbor.
Mhm.
They've sent in a revised layout and they're ready to work with the town, basically Laura, to work on an application that goes in for a bike path crossing like she did for Rivers Ledge. So that has to go to New York State Parks Department. It actually gets submitted by the town, but the applicant prepares a lot of the material for the town. So that'll be one of the key next steps. They have also reconfigured the layout a little bit that you'll see in your packets for the next meeting.
Clark, did they get their wetland determination from DEC?
They did, yeah, they
Okay.
did.
And it was not jurisdictional?
It was not jurisdictional. And we actually learned a little bit more about the whole wetland interpretation, especially the adjacent wetlands. We thought because they had wetlands that were within a certain buffer distance, that would make it jurisdictional because of one of the 11 criteria. But I guess they actually have to cross over the boundary. So it says adjacent, but it actually has to cross the boundary. Because Laura and I actually had a conference call with the people at the DEC, just so we could understand that better. So,
And would the bike, the existing path would intersect with the existing bike path that comes through?
yes,
Okay,
just the
okay.
ability to cross it. And they also got a letter from the Army Corps on the wetland areas that are draining into the Mohawk. So they've made some good progress on that. Rivers Ledge, they have a proposal in right now for some signage. There's some rogue signs there now, so we're
Rather noticeable.
reeling them in on that. So you may see them back. And then this came in as a building permit, but it will come to the planning board. And that's 3461 State Street at Trusco Bank, where they're proposing some LED kind of band lighting on the roof line. I guess they have a similar site in Clifton Park, but it's something that I think you guys will want to look at. So that'll come to the planning board.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Moving on to commission business. Anyone have any commission business? Okay, I have one update. The Schaefer Homes Committee formally met for the first time in August. So most of the members were there. They basically discussed an outline of how they're going to formulate the committee, what their goals are, put together basically a mission statement, and then they're going to figure out the structure of how they're going to start collecting and compiling the data for the inventory. So it's a pretty interesting project.
Is it, this is just for the town of Niskayuna, right?
Correct. Correct. Just for the town of Niskayuna and just inventorying residential homes that they believe either are or Schaefer inspired or potentially have information that would say that Paul was involved somehow.
Do we know if there's a countywide group that's separate? I'm curious. Do we know that? We've never
Not to
come
my
across them.
knowledge, but
It's great.
yeah. All right. If there's no further business, get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A move by Ms. Gold,
Second.
second by Ms. Strang. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
No.
meeting is adjourned at 7:49 PM. Thank you, everyone.